Don't forget, though, you can text questions, comments, opinions. What's on your mind? Sharing is caring. I was once told that. I don't know if it's true, but why not try it out? You can text 979-693-1150. 979-693-1150. Hit send. I'm staring at the inbox. Zachary in College Station. I still laugh because we had Joe Sheehan with us about an hour ago. And Joe, he was in his apartment today, but he dropped his headphones, came off, and Joe currently getting mugged. It did sound a bit, didn't it? It did. I would kind of be good with that. Mark English texted and said, Lou, I'd love you to run your meta on the upcoming schedule for Notre Dame and help me understand what it is that they get a guaranteed spot. And he's talking about in the CFP. Simple. Their schedule is so dumb easy. They have Miami and South Bend and SMU and South Bend. That's the only two top 25 teams on their schedule. Let me just, and I'll make this quick. Rice, Michigan State, Purdue, North Carolina. None of them will end the year with a winning record. Oh, Stanford. I guess I left out BYU. But BYU is Big 12 good. I don't think they're legit good. And that's in Provo. So I guess maybe Notre Dame has a 3-game schedule. Only one of those teams are actually on their tier. Because SMU and BYU are relatively good, but they're kind of good based upon being in the Big 12 and the ACC. But none of them, BYU and SMU, are not Big 10 SEC good. They're not Notre Dame talent level. Both BYU and SMU are maybe tier 3 talent at best, where Notre Dame is T1. That's it. So 3 teams preseason ranked, 2 of them because of the conferences they're in. 2 of those 3 are at home. 2 of them, see, I don't have to run the whole meta. How many teams are they going to play that's even going to have a winning record? Syracuse will not have a winning record. Boston College will not have a winning record. Navy could, so I'll just say push. Stanford won't, North Carolina won't, Purdue won't, Michigan State, Rice won't. So 8, is it 8 of their 12 won't even have a winning record? Their schedule is the why. You say run them, don't have to. 3 total. A&M is 6. And then there's other teams like an Arizona State is not one of their 6. An ASU, 7-8 win team. Arizona State's like 44 to start the year with a higher upside. Schedule. And Notre Dame is elite talent. Notre Dame is one of the teams. Yesterday, we took a look at the 40 mil rosters, and Notre Dame is one of those at the 40 mil. They've invested, and they're playing these teams. Miami's the only one on their level. Only one. And it's in South Bend. So, Mark English, there you go. That's the answer too. Anybody can text 979-693-1150. Hit send, staring at the inbox, anything. What's on your mind? Jumping to Astros, Rangers, Cowboys, Texans. Astros and Rangers were both off yesterday. The Houston Astros, they had 2 off days, Thursday and Monday. They went with a 4-man pitching rotation during the stretch. They only have 2 pitchers. I'm not being a smart aleck. They only have 2 starters, Hunter Brown and Peter Lambert, that they can count on. Well, they're kind of resetting things. Javier pitches today. They're going to leave him in despite 0 reason with the 3 starts he's had since they inserted him. And then they're calling up Ethan Pecco. He's going to start Wednesday. It'll be his major league debut, and it's against the Angels. Now, at AAA, where he spent the majority of his minor league this year, he's 4-6, and this is all his minor league this year. 4-6, 17 games, 15 starts, 4.94. He's struck out 71 in 74 innings. He's also walked 28. There's nothing in his numbers that would equal a call-up in a pennant race and a playoff push. And the basic thought process is, why not? We have no one else left, and he will hold the spot until Mike Burrows comes off the IL. So give him 2-3 starts because they already know everyone else. At this point, what's the point with Ime? What's the point? I mean, seriously, I'm not making it up. So, yes, tonight, Javier stays in the rotation. Wednesday will be Pecco making his major league debut. That's the Astros plan. So their 5-man rotation, now that the off days are done, Javier tonight, Pecco MLB debut Wednesday, Lambert goes Thursday, Wisniewski's Friday, Hunter Brown Saturday. It's rough, man, but that's your 5-man rotation. Astros at home all week long, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Angels. The A's are Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I can tell you straight up that you can hear every game, all the games, period. Right here on the Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. 6:40 pregame, 7:10 first pitch, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday here on the Zone. Astros, Angels, all 3 games. Astros baseball on the Zone, thanks to Kelly Burke-Dozer. The Rangers were off yesterday, too. They're at home all week also. Nationals, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And they get the Angels when they're done in Houston. Angels go down the road for Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Texas Rangers. Couple of factoids. Couple of, you want to impress your other MLB friends, if you have any. The Red Sox of Boston, who I think are the story of the summer, last night, they are the first Major League Baseball team to have all 9 starters collect an RBI. None of them struck out. How rare is this? And again, bizarre. But how rare is that? Think about the setup. All 9 starters for the Red Sox yesterday got an RBI, and none of them struck out. When was the last time this happened? 1949, June 25th, 1949, and it was the Red Sox that did it then. And you know who the opponents were, just to tell you how way back machine this was. The Red Sox last did it, and it's not the last time the Red Sox did it. The last time it happened in MLB was the Red Sox themselves, and they did it against the St. Louis Browns in 1949. Go forth and impress people. One more factoid for you. This day in baseball history, 1982, Pete Rose became the MLB all-time hit leader. Nope, I lied. All-time leader in career plate appearances. Sorry. If you're going to impress people, at least try and be right. Don't be me. So on this day, 1982, Pete Rose became MLB's all-time leader in career plate appearances. He finished his career with 15,890 career plate appearances. Do you know, do you know who's the closest active player in career plate appearances? And I love this stuff because this is the perspective part. Freddie Freeman. And he has 9,885, i.e. not even close, not even the same zip code. You've got to be kidding me, right? Holy snikes, it's not even close. Astros, Rangers. Did anyone else catch? I even said Texans and Cowboys, Cowboys, Texans too. We're going to hit a lot more NFL throughout the week here on the Louis Bellina Show, and it will culminate every Friday, 1 o'clock, starting this Friday. Josh Kendall of The Athletic, NFL, top stories, top games, starts this Friday. This caught my attention at CBSSports.com. Oh, for a couple of reasons. But they did the NFL hot seat for all 32 teams, but they did something fascinating. How can you do the NFL hot seat for all 32 teams when, well, not every coach? And that was their point. For each team, it's not the head coach. A lot of these teams, the head coach, his hot seat is 0.00 on the hot meter. So it can be a coordinator. It can be a player. I want to have fun. Who do you think was the photo? Who? For the story. Because, you know, every story online has a photo. Because I laughed. I got this. I knew who it was going to be. Think about last year in the playoffs. Think about what player is probably on the hottest seat. Because the photo, do the kids call it LOL? LOL? Which Ryan Starr, Candy95, host Chip Howard Sports Talk Eat Friday, says LOL stands for laugh out loud. So I lolled. CJ Stroud is the photo for the NFL hot seat for all 32 teams, and he is. They got Bryce Young with them, so there's two of them. But CJ Stroud is the poster child. The way that ended last year, yeah, man. That left a bad taste in the universe's mouth, how bad he was in the postseason. Literally to the point where, I don't know, if you wanted to investigate if he had money, because he was nightmare bad. For the Dallas Cowboys, for you Cowboy fans, which NFL hot seat for all 32 teams? I don't think they were allowed to put owners, but Jerry's not going to put himself on the hot seat. This one fascinated me. The defensive coordinator, Christian Parker, he's in his first year, and they put hot seat. Why? Because it's the only thing holding the Cowboys back and the investment the Cowboys put on the defensive side. They drafted 2 first-rounders with Caleb Downs and Malachi Lawrence, signed Jalen Thompson, signed Kobe Durant, traded for Rashawn Gary and D. Winters, the contract extension for Quinnen Williams, and now Von Miller. If you put the whole package together, and Jerry's not going to invest just for min results on that side. So for the Cowboys, defensive coordinator Christian Parker is who's the hottest seat, which first year, holy cow. Now, I don't have to tell you for the Texans, do I? Because, well, who was the face, the graphic, the photo? CJ Stroud. And they just say straight up, I mean, and it's the postseason stuck in everyone's head, and quote, and at least somewhat rightfully so. Stroud was truly awful. Inexplicably awful. In fact, in the playoffs, 5 interceptions, 5 fumbles, 2 lost in 2 games. Can I say that again? 5 interceptions, 5 fumbles, 2 lost in 2 games. I remember because I watched every down. CJ Stroud, that was bizarrely, epically what just happened in the universe bad. Now, I'm bringing up some names you might know from the Maroon and White universe. Over at the Jets, it's head coach Aaron Glenn. They started 0-7 last year. They're just dysfunctional. Their ownership bad. Jets went 3-14 last year, Aaron Glenn's first year, and they forced him to have Justin Fields. It's not his fault. He has no quarterback, so that's unfair, but it's true. Over at the Bengals, their head coach Zach Taylor. And they're talking about, look, what is it, after 3 years? It's time. They got a big-time defense. They traded for the number 10 pick and the signing, so they've missed the postseason 3 straight years. They can't see Zach Taylor surviving if they miss the postseason again. Aggie legend Kyler Murray is the Vikings' hot seat. Man, they picked him so they felt it's almost like tanking. Come on, he's not on a hot seat. They knew what they were doing. And then there's some familiar names for Atlanta. Tua Tagovailoa, which you start him, what do you think's going to happen? And then Bryce Young at Carolina. Hasn't he been on the hot seat since year 2? Like, that's not really a memo. But that was kind of fun. Cowboys, the DC in his first year, and C.J. Stroud for the Texans. Too many maroon and white names popped up on that list. Up next, we return, if I can pull this off, Mike Elko a listen in from today. That's what's up next here on the Louis Bellina Show. Tuesday edition. The DraftKings Sports app, it's now live in all 50 states. That means from Texas to California to Florida, every fan is in on the excitement. One app, every sport, all 50 states. DraftKings Game Day is yours. I want you to mark September 2nd. DraftKings Game Day is the kickoff of a new season, a new era. It's just one of those biggest moments in sports. September 2nd. You can get ready to celebrate. And you know what? If you're a new DraftKings customer, sign up with the code KZNEAM. You can spend $5 and get $150 in rewards within 15 days. New DraftKings customer, KZNEAM, that's your sign-up code. Event trading offered by DraftKings. Event trading offered by DraftKings Predictions. It's a CFTC registered introducing broker. Trading involves, of course, risk of loss. Market availability varies. Eligibility restrictions apply. $50 every 7 days via click-to-claim issued in non-withdrawable prediction dollars that expire in 1 year. Ends August 23rd. Terms, check them out. DKNG.co/predictions promo. Nationwide based on sportsbook predictions and free-to-play sports contest availability, and it varies by state.
The Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. Don't ask unless you want the truth, because
you can't handle the truth.
Weekdays, 11 to 2 on the Zone.
It is the Louie Bellina Show. I'm sticking with Tuesday, presented by CC Electric. It is the Louie Bellina Show from inside the Charles Schwab studio. Low cost, full service, best of all, local. And with Charles Schwab, sometimes people get that, local. Yeah, we got Mark Sim, and he's right here in College Station. You get to, park outside, walk through the door, shake a hand, look them in the eye, sit down, have a conversation. Best of all, local. Look them up online, schwab.com/College Station. Charles Schwab and Company Incorporated, member SIPC. Good news! Mike Elko met with the media after practice today. We get to listen in to him now.
Coach Elko, can you tell if an offensive line is working in camp, or is it something you actually have to see game film? I'm sure there's things you see now, but is it something you have to wait till games to really know if they're clicking?
I think you could see a lot of things in practice. Obviously, I think you can identify a lot of things just from years of experience doing it and knowing what it should look like. I think the biggest challenge you always have in fall camp, and this is, I think, is our biggest, as we're battling through this, is there's not a lot of relative comparison that you've played with on a field in SEC football, right? And that's where, if you had just lost the O-line and you knew what the D-line was, or you just lost the D-line and you knew what the O-line was, we've got two groups battling that are all relative unknowns, right? And so I think until you get to September 5th and start rolling it out there against competitive people, it'll be a little bit of a wait and see.
We'll go to the right, Alex.
Just what was kind of your evaluation of the scrimmage this weekend? Things you thought you guys did well, and things you're trying to talk with your guys about continuing to improve as fall camp continues?
Yeah, I thought, typical first scrimmage in fall camp. I thought operationally we did good. I think one of the things about the way we run camp is we start operationally from day one, moving at a pace and a speed that is game-like. And so, that hopefully means that there's not a big shock when we get in there for scrimmage one, and there wasn't. And so I thought both sides of the ball functioned operationally at a really, really good level. I thought there was inconsistency both sides of the ball. I think that's naturally what happens in a first scrimmage. And so now you've got, a marker of where you are, and now you've got 2 weeks to really grind through to kind of, get everything where you need it to be for the season to start.
We'll come back over to the left, Olin.
And Mike, you spoke very highly about your thoughts on the secondary, so I want to ask you, how's that front seven coming along, particularly since you kind of touched on the interior defensive line?
That was an interesting question. So you started with the secondary, so I was ready to answer a secondary question. Then we rolled into the D-line. So front seven on defense, I think it's good. I think we have a lot of bodies that are capable of going out there and helping us. I think the competition has been really, really intense. It's playing out like we hoped it would, which was, we felt like we had to go elevate the whole level of everything. And so you brought in some guys and you wanted to see them compete. And so you see Ray Coney and Noah McHale and Jordan Lockhart out there competing every day, trying to earn opportunities to play this year. And I think because of that, all three of them are elevating every day. I think you got the same thing at end, you got the same thing at D-tackle. And so it's been good. It's been really competitive. I think we're starting to see it rise and the level rise to where we want it to be. And, we're getting close to halfway through camp, and it's got to keep going.
We'll go to the back right.
Mike, just curious how you want to kind of handle the rest of camp, when you may want to ramp down, and when you're hoping to get kind of depth chart somewhat simple.
Yeah, the depth chart is, I don't know, she'll put it out at some point and it won't be right. But in terms of like ramping down, we're still in the grind of it. I think this week is the challenging week in my opinion because, the time between the first scrimmage and, we'll go in the stadium again on Sunday. We won't scrimmage, but we'll go in the stadium again and do a situational practice, and I think between the two, that's the hardest part of camp because that's the dead smack in the middle. Nothing seems like it's on the horizon. The game still seems pretty far away, and for 2 practices, I think we handled it really well, and so we got to keep going the rest of the week. It's a big challenge.
We'll go to the left, Travis.
Yeah, what's the competition like been at the place kicking, and especially those 2 guys that you kind of mentioned earlier in the camp? What's that battle like?
Yeah, I think they've been really, really good. I think they've been more consistent. I think we've got range and depth, which has been really good. And so I think both those guys are kicking at a really high level.
To the right, Tony.
Coach, last week I asked Anto Sacco about just putting full pads on and how that kind of raises the elevation of the intensity. And he really said, because we go so hard, it doesn't really ramp it up that much. From your perspective, do you see it that way, and just the way you guys work, that maybe it's just kind of is what it is when the full pads are on?
Yeah, that's the hope. The hope for us is whether we're in helmets, whether we're in uppers, whether we're in full pads, that the pace and the tempo that we're going at never drops, never changes. And I think we have a group that I think understands that. Obviously, year 3, certainly the guys that have been with us all the way through have a good feeling for what the expectation and what the standard is. And certainly the new guys, I think, having gone through spring and now into fall camp a little bit, I think understand kind of what the pace and what the tempo is, and we think that for us is an advantage for why we've been able to start well in seasons.
We'll stay to the right, background.
Mike, what do you think on offense, specifically, is a little bit more unique this year than we've seen in the past?
Holman Wiggins is calling plays, and so that's unique because that hasn't happened before. Now I'm joking a little bit. It's going to look to the native eye. It's going to look very, very similar, and so I think we've got a lot of weapons. I think we're trying to figure out creatively how to get the ball to the guys that we think can help impact the game. And I think again at those skill positions, you've got a lot of capable people fighting and scratching for touches. And, I think Holman will do a really, really good job of finding creative ways to make sure we're getting the ball in the right people's hands.
We'll go to the back left, Nick.
I think the coordinators are settling into the new roles, and what's maybe the few biggest steps of growth you've seen from the camp so far?
Yeah, I think both guys are doing a really, really good job. I think, again, there's a lot of organization that goes into camp. It's a little bit different than actually being a game week coordinator. I think when you talk about training camp, you're talking about organizational, you're talking about mentality, setting the right mindset. I don't think being an OC in training camp is what anybody outside of this building actually thinks it is. It's not about calling plays at all in training camp. And so I think both guys are doing a really, really good job. And I think the mindset for both sides of the ball is really coming into what we want it to be.
Back right, Carter.
How would you just kind of assess what you saw from both quarterbacks in the scrimmage, and Marcel in particular, he mentioned not going big the first big part of camp. Just what are you seeing difference-wise from him as far as taking care of football?
Yeah, I think first of all, he took care of the football better last year than anyone's given him credit for it. So I think first of all, I think that nobody's ever actually asked me that, but a lot of his picks last year that took that number to where it went were end of game, pressing games, trying to catch up. And I think there's times where in those situations you're going to put the ball at risk more naturally. And so, for a large part of the season last year, I thought he protected the ball really well, and even down the stretch. Outside, I thought the worst game was South Carolina. I thought outside of the South Carolina game, a lot of that was pressing type situations. But I think he's taken the step we hoped he would take. I think he's much more comfortable, much more confident, knows the reads, knows what the progressions need to look like. I think his footwork looks cleaner, the ball delivery looks cleaner. And so, again, excited for him. And then I think Brady continues to grow and develop, and, excited for what he's doing and how he's working out there.
We'll wrap up with Alex to your right.
How's Damien continuing to progress throughout this group season?
Really well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thanks, guys.
A&M football head coach Mike Elko. That was after practice today. He met with the media. Now, tomorrow I know we got another listen in, and it'll be Holman Wiggins, who also met with the media after practice today. How do you like that one more question? We'll wrap it up. And question was about 8 seconds, and the answer was about 4. That wraps up our listen in. A&M football head coach. Sorry, that was awesomely funny. Mike Elko. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, sprint to the finish. Community Spotlight about 1:50. United Way of the Brazos Valley will join me inside the Charles Schwab studio. Text. If you have questions, at least for a Tuesday, text now or almost forever hold your peace. What's on your mind? 979-693-1150. 979-693-1150. Hit send. This is the Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric, Tuesday on the Zone, 11:50 a.m. and 93.7 FM.
Activate. Spin Cherokee football Saturdays, starting with the game day show, to the game, to the call-in show, and only on the Zone 11:50 a.m. and 93.7 FM.
The Louis Bellina Show, rolling along on a Tuesday. Louis Bellina Show inside the Charles Schwab studio. I'm looking up at my TV inside the Charles Schwab studio. There's Greg McElroy, and he's been doing the world tour, talking about as well his top 25, but especially his top 10. It's a little bit different. He's been questioned about, he's supposed to be an SEC apologist, right? And he has some of the SEC teams ranked lower than other people do. And he said something, taking in the reality of the 9-game schedule, that there'll be more losses in the league than ever before. And a lot of people are not accepting that fact. He's not saying that the SEC is down. Like, once the playoffs start, he thinks the SEC can make their move then. And all the top teams in the SEC are playing each other. But, why would you buy Oregon stock in the playoffs? He's not necessarily saying that either. But how many teams will make it? What, it was 5 a year ago? But that can't happen now at 9. Not with this current 12 and this current committee mindset. They don't give credit for strength of schedule. They just look at W's and L's. There's a lot of little things that go into it. If you take a look at the AP, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm wrong often, so be ready to correct me. There was not a single first place vote for an SEC team, right? Not even Georgia or Texas. They all went to Ohio State and Oregon. When was the last time that ever happened? Clemson not ranked to start the year. Hasn't it been a couple of decades since that happened? I felt like voters, whether it was the AP, but even it seemed reflected in the coaches, have paradigm shift. Maybe that's the wrong phraseology, but there's been a move to accept kind of the new realities. That's very much what I think we saw reflected. And maybe there was an over-adjustment. Like, some voters accepted the top endness of the Big Ten, but because they denied it so long, maybe they went a step too far, and that's okay. Because you can't deny the top endness of the Big Ten. Doesn't mean they're the best conversation we've had too often. But maybe some voters who took forever to accept that, skosh too far. It would behoove the SEC to have a national champ this year. But I just think that Kirby Smart stuck so hard and still trying to pay Nick Saban 1.0 ball versus Nick Saban 2.0 or 3.0 ball, that he's trying to do it the hard way. And he proved you can win one, and you got to do it, And Texas, I love that. Okay, what are you talking about? A thought in my head. If Texas wins a national championship, will it feel like the SEC won a national championship? Because Texas is so hated that there's members of the SEC who don't feel like Texas is part of the SEC. Oh, gosh, I love that. And A&M, from the start, from the jump, was fully 100% accepted by the SEC, seen as blood from the start. But Texas, not even in the same zip code of acceptance, because they don't want to be. It's an insult to Texas to be seen as common. To be seen as a member of anything. They have to be special, or they have to wash their hands if they're not special. Gosh, I love college football. But anyway, I got 5 things I say you need to know, maybe want to know, cool to know, but 5 things you should know. Number 1, did you know there's this new Heisman platform that allows college football fans to cast votes? Yeah, there's a new Heisman platform. The new team at Heisman has launched Heisman Hopefuls. It's a data storytelling and fan voting platform aimed at expanding the conversation about the award given to the most outstanding player in college football. And the platform will feature official data and regularly updated EA Sports college football player ratings. And it will allow fans to place the first official vote for the Heisman Trophy. And according to the Heisman CEO, Jeff Price, quote, "We surveyed college football fans, and they told us clearly that they want more data on more players and more ways to engage with the Heisman Trophy throughout the season. So this platform, it's a website. Okay, platform. I like the phrase platform, though. Makes it sound fancified. The main thing is going to be data. Player data, and you get to vote. Now, the way I think this will work is the platform in the end will be equal to one vote, so everybody votes, and it'll equal one vote in total at the end. But I think it's cool. It's a nice effort, you know? And I'm kind of like numbers and statistics, so anything that compiles more data in one spot, 2 thumbs up. So it'd be kind of cool. These are going to be basic player stats. Don't expect to find advanced analytics and war and stuff because nobody can agree what's good, what's bad. So, number 2, things we need to know. Jeannie Buss is contesting the family's vote to sell a stake in the Lakers. So the Lakers are being sold. That's not what's being contested. What's being contested is the Buss family stake being sold. So, okay. So Kushner, Iger buying the Lakers 12.5 valuation. They're going to buy from Walter the controlling majority. That's happening. But the Buss family has a stake. And there's an argument about, well, there was a vote by the family and the vote passed to sell because that 12.5 billion valuation is insane. And by selling their stakes, they can get paid. Jeannie Buss met with Iger, the new group, to find out her role. When Walter bought the Lakers all of like a year ago, she was kind of guaranteed the governorship of the team. It's in the agreement. I guess after she met with Iger and Kushner, I don't think she was guaranteed anything. So she is now contesting the family's vote to sell the stake. Allegedly, it's all right there in black and white, hard contract writing, but she says, no, it doesn't matter that the majority of the family voted. And the family's like, it's right there in the contract. We voted and it passed. By the way, I found this quote from Bob Iger after the meeting with Jeannie Buss last week about the governorship running the Lakers, which she does. But if something changes, then it changes. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement, is it? So you can see where she doesn't want to lose her job. If he dies, he dies. So anyway, Jeannie Buss contesting the sell. Well, the Buss family control the Lakers. Number 3, this is kind of the rattling of the saber. I've heard this many times. You probably have too. But Roger Goodell says there's, quote, unquote, no doubt the NFL will have a team based outside the U.S. He has said that every year. I think every time he's been asked. No timeline, no explanation. How you're going to deal with a team based outside the U.S. with taxes, travel, and protecting their rights as a U.S. citizen has never been explained, to be clear. Like, who's going to play for that team? Taxes, travel, rights as a U.S. citizen, all being protected is never, ever in the universe been explained. So, sounds good. He says it. I think is to keep all these international games on the hook. The reality of it strikes me as so much further away from the statement. But he says it every year. Number 4, 5 things I say need. Need is a strong word. Easy, okay? South Carolina Gamecock football. They lost 2 wide receivers to season-ending lower body injuries. One of them is Jaden Sellers, the younger brother of Gamecocks quarterback Lenora Sellers. The other is Oklahoma transfer Jaden Gimson, and they both suffered injuries last week in practice. Sellers, Jaden, impressed as a true freshman at 25, had 337 yards, touchdown, 22 catches, 7 games. Gibson, well, he had missed the past 2 seasons at Oklahoma with injuries. In 23, he impressed, but he had missed the past 2 seasons with injuries. He will miss this entire season with injuries too. So, South Carolina wide receiving core got thinner. 2 wide receivers out for the year, lower body injuries. Number 5, again, things you need to know, want to know, could know, can't hurt to know, why not know? Athlon Sports, they rank the top 50 quarterbacks in the NFL. Where would you put Dak? Where would you put C.J. Stroud? Top 50 quarterbacks in the NFL. Something that fascinates me about this. For you, at what point, if you rank above, at what point you drop below, is it time to look at the USFL? Is it time to look for broadcasting opportunities? At what point do you call it good? I'm not kidding. Because they got Tua at Atlanta at 33. J.J. McCarthy's at 41. Spencer Rattler at New Orleans is 47. Mason Rudolph has gotten so many shots at Pittsburgh's at 49. Davis Mills, hasn't Davis Mills actually been like a really great backup? True backup? But a great backup is at 48, and that might be one of the best rankings of them all, because if he's 48, they say Anthony Richardson at the Colts, who has been demoted to 3rd string at this point. But I'll take Davis Mills at 48 over Anthony Richardson at 43 every single time in the universe. Shedeur Sanders at 34. I'll take Davis Mills over Shedeur Sanders. Anyway, that wasn't my question. Dak Prescott is 6. Here's the 5 in front of him. Drake May 5, Lamar Jackson 4, Joe Burrow 3, Matthew Stafford 2, Josh Allen 1. I don't think you would take Dak Prescott in front of any of the 5, so that feels like that's a pretty fair ranking, don't you? And then, C.J. Stroud 19. Are we talking regular season C.J. Stroud? Or are we talking postseason C.J. Stroud? Tough question. And Jaden Daniels demanded that he gets the number 5 spot from Drake May, but Athlon Sports did not acquiesce to him. Instead, Jaden Daniels popped up at number 12. Do with it what you wish. When we come back, Community Spotlight, United Way of the Brazos Valley. I want you to remember this date, and it's September 2nd, DraftKings Game Day. September 2nd. Now, the app is now live in all 50 states, and that means Texas, California, to Florida, and everywhere in between. Every fan gets to go in on the excitement. And speaking of excitement, at DraftKings, if you're a new customer, you can sign up with the code KZNEAM, spend $5, and get $150 in rewards within 15 days. The code again is KZNEAM. Event trading offered by DraftKings Predictions, a CFTC registered introducing broker. Trading involves, of course, risk of loss. Market availability varies. Eligibility restrictions apply. $50 every 7 days via click-to-claim issued in non-withdrawable prediction dollars that expire in a year. Ends August 23rd. Terms can be found dkng.co/predictions promo. Nationwide based on sportsbook predictions and free-to-play sports contest availability varies by state.
Listen to The Zone on the Zone app. Thanks to Loyalty Plumbing. The pros at Loyalty Plumbing are ready to serve you 24/7. For big emergencies or small.